Dear students, myself Rajiv Bhatia, Assistant Professor in Economics at Shree Atam Vallabh Jain College, Ludhiana. Today, I'm going to discuss with you a very important topic of microeconomics, that is price elasticity of demand. First of all, I will discuss the meaning of price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is the ratio of percentage change in quantity demanded of the commodity to the percentage change in price of the commodity. It is basically different from the law of demand, as the law of demand also tells us that there is a negative relation between price and quantity demanded of the commodity. It tells us only a directional change in the demand due to change in price of the commodity. But it is not telling us the magnitudinal change in quantity demanded due to change in price of the commodity. तो प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड हमें ये बताता है कि हाउ मच चेंज will be there in the quantity demanded of a commodity due to a given percentage change in price of the commodity. So its formula is elasticity of demand is equal to delta Q upon Q into 100, that is percentage change in quantity demanded, whole divided by delta P upon P into 100, that is percentage change in price of the commodity. By modifying the formula, by the further processing, the formula of price elasticity of demand is equal to delta Q upon delta P into P upon Q, where delta Q is the change in the quantity demanded and delta P is the change in the price of the commodity. There are 5 degrees of price elasticity of demand, namely perfectly inelastic demand, less than unity, equal to unity, more than unity, and perfectly elastic demand. One by one, I will be going to discuss all the degrees of price elasticity of demand. First of all, perfectly inelastic demand. Demand of any commodity will be perfectly inelastic when there will be no change in quantity demanded of the commodity after the change in its price. बहुत सारी चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जिनकी डिमांड मार्केट में परफेक्टली इनलास्टिक होती है, खासकर वो सारी चीज़ें जो कि हमें बहुत ही एमरजेंसी रिक्वायर्ड होती हैं, जैसे कि ड्रग्स है, बहुत सारी इसेंशियल फूड आइटम्स हैं, जहाँ पर प्राइस अगर बढ़ भी जाए या कम भी हो जाए, हम उसकी क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड चेंज नहीं करते हैं, एज शोन इन द डायग्राम. दैट इज इन दिस केस द डिमांड कर्व डी इज ए straight line parallel to y-axis, indicating that when the price is changing from OP to OP1 and from OP1 to OP2, the quantity of the commodity remains unchanged, that is at OQ level. It means quantity is not responding to the change in price. In this case, the demand will be perfectly inelastic. सेकेंड इज लेस देन यूनिटरी इलास्टिक डिमांड. डिमांड एक से कम तब होगी अगर प्राइस में चेंज आ रहा है लेकिन डिमांड में प्राइस के रिलेटिवली या प्राइस के कंपैरेटिवली कम चेंज आ रहा है. इफ देयर इज ए गिवन परसेंटेज चेंज इन प्राइस ऑफ द कमोडिटी बट द परसेंटेज चेंज इन इट्स डिमांड इज रिलेटिवली लेस. डायग्राम में व्हेन द प्राइस इज ओपी, डिमांड इज ओक्यू. When the price rises from OP to OP1, demand falls from OQ to OQ1. That is, the change in price is PP1. As a result of this, change in quantity demanded is QQ1, as the PP1 is more than QQ1. That is, change in price is more than the change in quantity demanded, and in this case, the demand curve will be a steeper curve, as shown in the diagram, indicating the price elasticity of demand to be less than 1. Next is the unitary elastic demand. In this case, demand will be Unitary elastic, that is price elasticity of demand, will be equal to 1 if a given percentage change in price of the commodity leads to change in quantity demanded in the same proportion. As the diagram shows that when the price falls from OP to OP1, the demand rises from OQ to OQ1. What is the change in price? PP1. And as a result of this, the change in demand is QQ1. These are exactly equal. PP1 is equal to QQ1. And in this case, the demand curve DD is a rectangular hyperbola curve indicating the price elasticity of demand to be equal to 1. Fourth one is greater than unitary elastic, that is more than 1. The price elasticity of demand will be more than 1 when a given percentage change in price of the commodity leads to relatively more percentage change in its quantity demanded. That is, in this case, the demand curve DD is a flatter curve indicating more change in quantity demanded as compared to the change in price. When the price is OP, demand is OQ, price rises from OP to OP1, demand falls from OQ to OQ1. What is the change in price? The change in price is PP1 and the change in quantity demanded is QQ1. Clearly, in this case, QQ1 is more than PP1. That is, change in quantity demanded is more than the change in price, and that indicates price elasticity of demand to be more than 1. Last one is perfectly elastic demand. Demand perfectly elastic tab hogi when a very insignificant, very minor change in price of commodity leads to infinite change in its quantity demanded. प्राइस में नेग्लिजिबल चेंज आ रहा है, इनविजिबल चेंज आ रहा है, बहुत ही कम चेंज आ रहा है, बट डिमांड में इनफाइनाइट चेंज आ रहा है. तो इन दिस केस द डिमांड कर्व पीडी विल बी ए पैरेलल टू एक्स एक्सिस. Price is OP, demand is OQ. There is a negligible change in price, but the demand rises from OQ to OQ1. Further, it rises from OQ to OQ1 to OQ2, but the change in price is negligible. That is, this is called perfectly elastic demand. Now we can show all the degrees of price elasticity of demand in the combined diagram. There are 5 demand curves are shown. If the demand curve is DT, elasticity will be less than 1. If it is PD2, that is parallel to x-axis, elasticity is infinity. If it is DD1, elasticity is more than 1. If it is parallel to y-axis, like DQ, elasticity is equal to 0. In case of rectangular hyperbola demand curve, like demand curve DD3, elasticity will be equal to 1. So it is all about the degrees of price elasticity of demand. Now we will discuss a very important topic, that is how to measure price elasticity of demand. There are basically 6 methods with the help of which we can measure the price elasticity of demand. I can name firstly, the first one is graphical method, percentage or proportion method, point method, total expenditure method, arc method, and revenue method. So one by one I will discuss all the methods. First of all, the graphical method. अभी हमने price elasticity of demand की degrees पढ़ी है. So this method is basically the conceptualization of the degrees. इसमें हम क्या करते हैं कि we take the data of quantity demanded of a particular commodity at a different price level. We draw a graph. There is a demand curve. After drawing a graph, from the shape of the demand curve, we can estimate the price elasticity of demand. So there may be 5 kinds of shapes of the demand curve. If the shape of demand curve is a rectangular hyperbola like DD3, we can say that the price elasticity is equal to 1. If it is a parallel to y-axis, elasticity is equal to 0. If it is a parallel to x-axis like PD2, price elasticity of demand is equal to infinity. If it is a steeper curve like DD, price elasticity of demand will be less than 1. And if it is a flatter curve like DD1, price elasticity of demand will be greater than 1. So this is all. We can estimate the price elasticity with the help of graphs or the shape of the demand curve. Second one is percentage method. Here we will use the formula, that is price elasticity of demand will be equal to percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price of the commodity, that is price elasticity of demand will be delta Q upon delta P multiplied by P upon Q. By using this formula, we can estimate the price elasticity of demand. Third one is point method. Point method is a method which is used to measure the price elasticity of demand at any particular point on the demand curve. The formula will be lower segment of the curve divided by upper segment of the curve, that is equal to price elasticity of demand. So I will show you that how to calculate the price elasticity of demand at different points on the demand curve. The first one is, say the demand curve is a linear demand curve, ED. So you can see the 5 points on the demand curve, that is point E, point A, B, C and D. One by one we will calculate the price elasticity of demand at these different points. तो सबसे पहले point E point पर कर्व का जो लोअर सेगमेंट है that is equal to ED and कर्व का जो अपर सेगमेंट है that is equal to 0. तो ED divided by 0 price elasticity will be equal to infinity. At point A, price elasticity of demand is equal to AD divided by EA. As AD is more than EA, so the price elasticity of demand will be greater than 1. B point बिल्कुल मिडल में है, तो B point पर price elasticity की value that is equal to BD divided by EB. As this point lies in the middle, so BD and EB are equal, elasticity of demand will be equal to 1. At point C, price elasticity is equal to lower segment is CD, upper segment is EC. As CD is less than EC, so the price elasticity is less than 1. And at point D, the lower segment of the curve is 0, upper segment is ED. The 0 divided by ED will be equal to 0. So with the help of point method, we can estimate the price elasticity of demand at the different points on the demand curve by applying the formula, that is price elasticity is equal to lower segment of the curve divided by upper segment. In case of nonlinear demand curve, if we want to estimate by applying point method, we have to draw a tangent at that point. As you can see, the demand curve is DD, which is a nonlinear demand curve. We want to estimate the price elasticity at point P. We will draw a tangent MN, and the lower segment of this tangent is PN, upper segment is MP, so the price elasticity of demand will be equal to PN divided by MP. In this way, this method is applicable both on the linear demand curve as well as non-linear demand curve, and the elasticity measured by this method is sometimes also known as point elasticity of demand. Next method is total expenditure method. In this method, price elasticity of demand is measured with the help of directional change in total expenditure whenever there is a change in price. So there are 3 different situations as shown in the table. If there is a rise in price of the commodity, total expenditure rises, or due to the fall in price of the commodity, total expenditure falls. That is, there is a positive relation between change in total expenditure and change in price. Price elasticity of demand will be less than 1. And if due to rise or fall in the price of commodity, there is no effect on the total expenditure, that is, total expenditure remains unchanged, price elasticity of demand will be equal to 1. And if there is a negative relation between change in total expenditure and change in price, that is, with a rise in price, total expenditure falls. With a fall in price, total expenditure rises. Price elasticity of demand will be more than 1. This can also be shown with the help of diagram that the total expenditure curve, AD curve, there are three different slopes, BC, BC and AB. When the price is OP4, total expenditure is ON. It is shown in the diagram that when the price rises from OP4 to OP3, total expenditure also rises from ON to OM. When the price further rises from OP3 to OP2, total expenditure remains unchanged, and when the price rises from OP2 to OP1, total expenditure falls from OM to ON. That is, three different situations of the price elasticity of demand are shown in the diagram. DC curve of the segment shows price elasticity of demand to be less than 1. BC segment of the curve shows price elasticity of demand to be equal to 1. And AB segment of the curve shows price elasticity of demand to be more than 1 as per the total expenditure method. Next method is arc method. Arc method is used where we want to measure the price elasticity of demand at an arc on the demand curve. You can see the diagram, demand curve is DT, price is OP1, demand is OQ1, price falls from OP1 to OP2. As a result of this, there is a rise in demand from OQ1 to OQ2, and there is an arc AB. आर्क मेथड वहाँ पर यूज होता है जहाँ पर प्राइस और डिमांड में काफ़ी ज़्यादा चेंजेस आते हैं. तो whenever there is a large change in quantity demanded of a commodity due to a change in price, we can use the arc method at an arc, and the formula is price elasticity of demand is equal to Q minus Q1 divided by Q plus Q1 whole divided by P minus P1 divided by P plus P1. Last one is revenue method. This method is used to measure the price elasticity of demand by using the concept of revenue, that is AR, MR and TR. We can easily estimate the AR and MR. What is AR? AR is the ratio of the total revenue to the total output sold in the market. AR is always equal to price. And MR is the change in total revenue when one more unit of the commodity is sold in the market. MR is always equal to TRN minus 1, and the formula of price elasticity of demand as per the revenue method is average revenue divided by average revenue minus marginal revenue. So here we can estimate very easily AR and MR of any commodity with the sale of that commodity in the market, and we can apply the revenue method to estimate the price elasticity of demand. With this, all the methods have been covered by me in this lectures. Price elasticity of demand, their degrees, their methods. I hope all the methods and degrees are clear to you. And price elasticity of demand का जो concept है, it's a very very important concept. बहुत यूजफुल कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं. बिजनेस के अंदर फर्म को बहुत सारे जो डिसीजन हैं रिलेटेड टू द डिमांड, रिलेटेड टू द प्राइसिंग, मार्केट्स, ये जो प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी का कंसेप्ट है ये बिजनेस में इट इज़ ए वेरी वेरी यूजफुल कॉन्सेप्ट्स इन टेकिंग वेरियस डिसीजन इन द बिजनेस. In the next video, I will be going to discuss the other aspects of price elasticity of demand. With this, I conclude this lecture. Thank you very much.